From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And
Country
Corey
boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, silver linings. You want them? We're going to try to provide some of them. It's next man up. But gosh, why did it have to be your star starting quarterback? Can Tate do it? What does that actually mean, can Tate do it? We discuss. And are you not only getting a sneak peek at 2024 the next few weeks, but ultimately the future of Florida State football? Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com, the website. Lunch specials Monday through Friday. On Mondays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., the lunch special is none other than a victory burger. Half-pound, all black Angus beef. Comes with a side dish of your choice, straight fries, curly fries, etc. You know the deal. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com. Check it out. 17 in a row, these victory burgers, hopefully. Not all on Mondays, but, you know, they've been winning football games. It's what Florida State does. Warchant.com tries to chronicle it as best as possible. We're the ultimate Seminole sports source. No promo code. Just go over there and subscribe. Thumbs up. Subscribe to the website, the YouTube page. Also, shout out to my attorney, Joe, the attorney. Corey read your column, texted me at 7 in the morning on Sunday, and said that Corey's fucking column on Jordan is legit.
Oh, he cussed.
Yeah.
Okay, he threw a curse word in there. Well, good for him. I appreciate that, Joe. You said his name was Joe, right?
Correct.
All right, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that.
So that made
got
me
a lot
actually
of positive. Got a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, that implored me to go actually read the column, which I did, and I can also I want to use such language, but I would share similar sentiments. So well done, Corey. Florida State just won their 11th game in a row. They're heading into Gainesville, season finale, regular season finale. You scored 58 unanswered points. You beat North Alabama 58-13. One of my other buddies told me, don't make the show on Monday depressing, Aslan. So I don't know, how do we not make today's show depressing, Corey? As we do celebrate the fact that they are 11-0. They won 58-13. They rose up after an otherwise gross first quarter, but maybe not be too weighed down by the news, the weight, the loss, the freaking punch to the gut, to the solar plexus that Jordan Travis played his last football game on senior night, not the way we intended to, him going out that leg injury.
No, it's just I feel so bad for him. That's basically what the column was about. Is like you feel awful for him. It wasn't the way it was supposed to end, right? Like he deserved, and I'm not saying he deserved a national championship. He deserved like a storybook ending. Like he deserved to come out in the middle of the second quarter, up 28-3, and get one last ovation from 70,000 Florida State fans. That's how the night was supposed to play out, and then go hang out with the 13 team for the rest of the night, getting ready for Florida. And so to see him carted off into an ambulance and then, texting or Instagramming from the hospital an hour later, it was just like gut punch, depressing. But we've had now, 48 hours to process it and kind of reshift. Well, look, man, I'll be honest. I don't know if this counts as depressing or not. Reshift expectations. Look, I was of the opinion, and I'm not just saying this now because Jordan Travis is out for the year. I was of the opinion at about 5:30 on Saturday, well before the game even started. I'm like, I just don't think Florida State is quite up to national championship caliber. Because I watched, weirdly, it's not just the Georgia game, because I think Florida State's as good as Missouri, and Missouri could have beaten Georgia. It's not just that Georgia looks like they've found something and they look like a machine right now. It's what I watched Louisville and Miami do to each other. Does that make let me explain.
Yeah, please do.
Louisville's offensive line and Miami's offensive line moved dudes out of the way. They could run the ball with traditional running games. Now, they're not great offenses, but their offensive lines can and their running games can get positive yards. They bust 50-yard runs, or their running backs will run for 100 yards, and it's not just because they hit 180-yarder. They churn out first downs behind their offensive lines. Look, man, because of injury, because of I don't know why, the offensive line, but injuries is a big one. And you lost some guys last year that maybe were more impactful than we thought in Gibbons and Turrentine. The offensive line just isn't quite up to the caliber of what I see Michigan doing, what I see Georgia doing, even what I see Miami and Louisville doing. And what bothers me, the only time I got mad about the Jordan injury, I guess you go through Dagba. We all went through our stages of grief, denial, anger. So when I was in the of Dagba, it was because the only reason that kid pulled the ball and ran it in that spot, he should have never had to run the ball against North Alabama.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
It should have never even occurred to him to have to run the ball. But when once again your offensive line can't even push North Alabama out of the way to establish a traditional running game, and then your defense gives up 2 inexplicable touchdowns in a row, all of a sudden your star quarterback is sitting there going, well, I got to go make a play. We're in a game here with a minute to go in the first quarter. I thought I'd be getting ready to come out of this game, and here we are having punted twice and watching them go and score 2 touchdowns. So I've got to go make a play. So let me show North Alabama that we're here to play. Let me show North Alabama that they're going to get some Jordan Travis right here, and I'm going to run it down their throat. I haven't pulled the ball in about a month, but I'm going to pull it here and get us a first down and get this drive going. And then once I saw that tackle, I'm not, I don't think I don't know if it's a dirty play. I hate that tackle. I hate the form of it. I hate what he did. I don't know why you would swing somebody down quite like that, but he's a North Alabama linebacker trying to tackle a Heisman candidate by any means necessary, I guess. So I don't think he's trying to hurt Jordan there. But it's just that's where I was angry about. If the game had gone according to script, Jordan Travis never keeps the ball there. Never. But he did, and now he's out. He's out for his career, the rest of his college career. So anyway, all that being aside, get that out of the way. Now you re-engineer your expectations to the point, well, man, just you kind of weirdly, and I might be alone like this, man. I might be in the minority. You kind of got, you could play a little, there's no pressure anymore, in my opinion. Like your national championship hopes, which were probably, in my opinion, before that game, just the way I viewed what I was seeing around the country, because I just didn't trust the offensive line to establish a running game against these great defenses in the playoffs. I thought you were around a 25 to 30% chance of winning a national title. Now, because I thought you did have the ace in your sleeve of a mobile Jordan Travis running through these defenses. Well, that's gone. So now I feel like, I don't know, what would you put the percentage at, Aslan? 10, 12, 15? Are you really going to go are you going to go win 4 straight games, 3 of which would come against top 10 teams, with Tate Rodemaker as your quarterback? So with that said, you kind of got nothing to lose. And if you got nothing to lose and play a little carefree, well, maybe you can find some magic. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping they can find a little Tate magic. Not expecting it. There's really not a ton of pressure because people are already talking about they shouldn't make the playoff if they go undefeated because people are dumb in the national media. But I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, because people might be screaming at me right now listening to this. I feel like it frees you up to play a little more carefree because all the weight of the expectations of your senior star quarterback now being hurt, it's like it's gone. Obviously, you're not as good without Jordan Travis, but I do think you can play a little more freed up.
Yeah, I didn't think the pressure was going to get to them. I just thought that maybe Georgia's defensive line was going to get to them.
Well,
I guess, to your point. But I understand what you're trying to say. I do think that they refocus, and I don't think it's going to be so much playing free. I mean, I think it's going to be playing with a different sense of like focus and purpose, right? Maybe that comes from being a little bit more free, but I just feel like the doubt is going. I mean, the doubt felt like a very small corner of the internet and the media. The narratives, you will, of them maybe getting jumped here in the poll tomorrow by Washington. I mean, they got jumped in one of the polls on Sunday, but the college football playoff poll. And then you got to beat Florida and you got to beat Louisville. Like you start maybe feeling some of that pressure, like we got to win in a certain kind of way. So maybe that has now been removed. But I do feel there's going to be like this sense of anger now. Like you're counting us out. Like how dare you? Like we love this kid. He's our leader. but we're not just a one-person team. This isn't Caleb Williams and the
Right.
Trojans trying to, fight their way for a dub. Like, we've played pretty good defense the whole year. We have pretty solid special teams, other than not realizing that maybe this FCS team that's coming out in all these stupid exotic formations might want to fake the punt here.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe that lack of a traditional run game makes you feel a little bit queasy about what the offense can be. But maybe there's something that Tate gives you that Jordan can't, that Jordan doesn't. And I don't know how to quantify that or how to even really explore that any further at this point until we see him play a game here and maybe at least get through 2 more practices. But maybe there's just something that sparks in this team that, helps compensate for what they've lost in the spark that Jordan gives you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just trying to I wouldn't say it's grasping at straws because that sounds like we're just making up stuff. Like, I do think these are both possibilities. What Tate gives you is a stronger arm. He can stretch the field in ways that Jordan can't, and he has some dudes to throw to, which helps. So that's the one thing he gives you. And quite frankly, the way Jordan had not used his legs this year, maybe Tate's more apt to keep it a couple of times. Now, look, he's not Jordan Travis. He doesn't have the ability to hit a 60-yard run, but tell me the last time Jordan Travis did. But if he can keep it, he's athletic enough. And he's a freak athlete. Like, he's not a 4.4 guy, but he can do backflips. He can do crazy dunks. Like, he is a legit athlete. And he's fast enough, even on that one run he had. I know it's North Alabama, but he showed he can move. And he had a run against Louisville last year for a first down. So he can move well enough to maybe the quarterback run is a little bit more a part of the offense than even it's been, weirdly, with Jordan Travis, because they've been so he was so hesitant on running. And, I mean, hey, man, he was right. Slide down. So I think there's part of that. And, look, I think – I know it's a silver lining. Maybe this is what this show is a silver lining show. But there, other than Georgia, who could put a 4-stringer back there and probably beat most teams, there aren't many teams in the country that can lose a star quarterback, a senior like that, and not have to be going to a freshman with 0 experience. Like, look, Miami lost their quarterback a couple of weeks ago. Who did they have to turn to?
True freshman.
A true freshman that had thrown 30 passes. Well, Tate Rodemaker has been here for 4 years. And I know he's probably thrown, I don't know, I did a story on him. I think it was about 100 real passes. But this year he's been exceptional, by the way. He's been good. He hasn't played in very important moments until Saturday, and that was against the FCS school. But he's been good this year. He's been really good, honestly, since the halftime of the Louisville game in those rare instances where he's gotten to go in there and throw the ball. So, but let's not just count live game reps. Let's count the thousands of throws he's had in practice over the last 4 years. He knows this system. He's not getting thrown into craziness. Now, has he ever been in the swamp on a Saturday night with an 11-0 season on the line? Nope. That's its own. That's like its own entity sitting on his shoulders. But he's been here he's been here long enough and proven enough already, I think, that he won't be overwhelmed by it.
He's got a staff that's going to create a game plan, I think, as well, right?
Don't you think that I was talking about that today too? Like, there's two schools of thought here. There's the Xavier Lee principle, which in my mind was, you don't tell him he's starting. He had 2 good games in his career, Xavier Lee. One was coming off the bench against Alabama when they pulled Weatherford, when Florida State owned Alabama before the dynasty started. In 2007, he had a great game coming in, I think, in the second quarter. Excuse me. And then the one against Maryland up there, I think the year before, where I don't think he knew he was starting until the day of the game. But then every time he played great against Maryland, played really well against Alabama, and then he got progressively worse it was almost like as he had to become the starting quarterback and the weight of those expectations in the preparation. He couldn't just be thrown into the mix and be like, well, here goes nothing, and have no time to get nervous. So that's one school of thought, that Rodemaker now with a week of knowing he's the quarterback might, it's like these pitchers sometimes that are better coming on in relief than knowing they're going to get the ball at 6 p.m. on a Friday night. It's just the nerves or the weight of that weighing on you all day or all week in Rodemaker's case. So it could be a negative, but that's a 10% chance. I really do think it's a positive, a big positive, that this didn't happen in the first quarter against Florida. That Mike Norvell, who is a very good offensive coach, and Alex Atkins, who's a very good offensive coach and knows what that line can do and, quite frankly, what it can't do, can organize and develop and scheme up a game plan that fits Tate Rodemaker's skill set. They've got a whole week for it. And I think that's a positive. And I don't think the offense will change much, but it will change enough where I think they will accentuate, or try to anyway, Tate Rodemaker's positives. And they get to do it against a defense that isn't very good at all.
Yeah, part of me was trying to, look for the silver lining of, maybe Tate is just this goofy, happy-go-lucky kid that's just happy to be here and he's just going to let it fly and, won't realize the gravity around him. But he's a smart kid. So, it's a good and the bad of it. Like, he is smart enough to realize, holy crap, man. I've got to go into the swamp and beat them to not screw this thing up. And then be in Charlotte and be like, I've got to beat this team to not screw. He's going to realize the gravity of it. But I guess at the same time,
he's also good.
Maybe I think he'll embrace it too. I think
maybe I think so, but I also think we've watched him now in practice for 3 years, and he is a different kid than the one we saw in practice 2 years ago, at fourth string behind Milton, Purdy, and Jordan. He's got some real skill. He's got an NFL arm and he's got an NFL body. And he made a couple of insane throws. He made one to Kentron on a third down by the sideline with no window at all. That's an incredible throw. He has a better arm than Jordan Travis. Now, clearly, quarterbacking isn't all about arm strength. Otherwise, the Tennessee kid would be the number one pick in the draft whenever he decides to come out, because that dude has the best arm I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but it's more than arm strength. It's reading a defense and getting rid of the ball quick, throwing in rhythm, all that stuff on time, accuracy. But Rodemaker is, if he plays well, is good. I think he's a good college quarterback. Is he Jordan Travis? No, probably not. But I think he is a good college quarterback, or has the potential to be. It's all there for him. He's a good enough athlete. He's been in the system forever. He's learned behind Jordan Travis for going on 3 years now. He's been in Mike Norvell's system for 4. And when he was thrown into the fire at Louisville last year, after the horrible interception to start, he played, I thought, very, very well considering the circumstances. And then, let's not discount the fact that, you're down 13-0 and getting kind of pushed around the field by an FCS team, and your quarterback just got carted off into an ambulance, and the place is like a library, and there's real nerves and real anguish, and the emotions were so raw, and that's what an odd, kind of awful environment to go get real live game reps. Now, it was North Alabama, which helped, but it's impressive how he played in that moment. He didn't seem to be bothered by anything at all. He was 13 of 23 and probably should have been 16 of 23. Jaheim had a drop. I think Johnny might have had one. Johnny could have caught one in the end zone when he's been being interfered with. I thought he answered that moment, and it was his own unique moment and challenge. Again, North Alabama is not Florida or Louisville, but it was a unique challenge because that stadium, I've never felt the stadium that way. And I've been going to games there for a long time. I've never felt it like that uneasy, that sad.
Dude, can we talk about this at all? I feel like I need to kind of vent a little bit about this too. I know you.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, buddy. But no, I just wanted to point out. I just want to finish that point. I've said it already, but I thought Rodemaker handled that well. Saturday night will be its own other issue, clearly. But he stepped up in the moment and handled that well, just like he did in Louisville last year. So he's 2 for 2 in stepping up and handling the moment. So let's hope he makes it 3 for 3 and then 4 for 4.
I think I'm just going to take a Vitamin Energy Mood Plus, I think, instead of venting to everybody and getting my emotions out there. By the way, Lawyer Joe also said, thanks again for the vitamin stuff. Tried a mood, and it worked. He hosted a charity golf tournament back in the Tampa Bay area, gave him a bunch of vitamin energy to put in the swag bag for all the participants. So he took one. He tried it. He liked it. VitaminEnergy.com. You can do the same thing. Use the promo code Warchant BOGO, Warchant BOGO, the Mood Plus, a mood booster energy shot with natural nutrients and antioxidants that energize and regulate your mood. Tastes great. Tropical berry flavor. Solid. 7 hours of clean, functional energy with no crash later. 14-day clinical study has been done on vitamin energy, and it shows that it works, everybody. 89% of the participants in the 14-day study said that it was effective at boosting energy. 75% said they felt focus and concentrate were better after the shot. 82% felt energized very quickly after taking the shot and felt less fatigued throughout the day. So what you waiting for? Aslan's lawyer friend said it works. VitaminEnergy.com, right? I mean, what else you guys want at Vitamin Energy? I mean, gosh, Joe the lawyer. Joe the lawyer, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code is Warchant BOGO, Warchant BOGO. Shaking to take it. It's energy with benefits. VitaminEnergy.com. So, Corey, it was a big night, right? Senior night, 2013 back, celebrating them. James Winston back, retiring his jersey, Ring of Honor. So, a couple people emailed the boss, Gene Williams, and were like, hey, man, I can't make it to the game. It'd be really cool if you guys could film all this stuff for us. So I filmed the pregame senior day introductions, try to get Jordan on the field, but I'm up on the roof. So I got to kind of film him on the replay board to get a really good shot of him. And, he gets introduced, and, kind of see him dabbing his eye with a towel. I don't know if he was sweating, if he was overcome with emotion, but I get some good shots. Go back down, hang out with you, Ira, and Matt in the press box, try to get that uploaded. And then by the time I'm done getting that uploaded, because the internet was so terrible, I go back up to the roof because it's the end of the first quarter, right? And we got to get Jameis in the ceremony. So I'm on the roof, and dude, it was so surreal because as soon as I got to the roof and over the edge to look at what was going on in the game, I hear the crowd roar. I see Jordan like crossing midfield, and I'm like, oh, all right, there they go. Now they're cooking. Now they're, going to figure this thing out and stop piddling around. And I look at the replay board, and I see him like, look at him, he's grasping like his hamstring almost at first, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Let me set up my camera. I didn't even know he was injured. And I'm setting up my camera, and I look down, and I see people running to midfield, and I'm like, who is that? And I start audibly yelling. I'm like, who is that? And there's people around me, Corey. I felt like I was in a Stephen King movie. No one could hear me, and I was yelling. That's why I texted you and Ira. I'm like, is that Jordan on the field? I had no idea who it was, what had happened. Everybody just looked like their soul had left their bodies, and they were just these vacant vessels of flesh and eyeballs, just looking at the center of the field entranced. And then once you realize it was him, just a sense of like, oh my God, like this poor kid, this season, that game. You said it so well in the column. I had to get it out because I live by myself. I don't talk to anybody. So I'm talking to all you. That was horrible, man. That was probably the worst moment of covering a football game as like a professional. I think I've been fortunate enough to not see anything too tragic at a football game. And in the sense of life, he's going to be fine. Everybody's in a hospital in America. He's going to be all right. But my goodness, I couldn't believe it. Part of me had this morbid thought going into the game. I'm like, man, you're always just one injury away. Like you've said it so many times, Corey, and I've like I've scoffed at you, and you're like, listen, as long as they stay healthy, they're looking, in September, like as long as they stay healthy, they're looking at like, hey man, like I get it. Every team says that if they lose player X, but like they've lost player X. Well, now we're really going to see what it all comes down to here, starting this week, and we'll see tomorrow at practice just how sharp things can kind of look. I mean, they were so hurt, these guys. You saw Trey was beside himself. And then listen, Jaren's like, listen, I don't want to talk about it anymore. After the game, Lawrence O'Feely said, like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I do think we're going to see not a different team of who they are, but just that emotion was so heavy on the game. Like I can't remember anything that happened in this game, Corey. I have no recollection of anything. By the time that the blocked field goal to end the game happened, which probably would have been the thing that you would have remembered, the singular moment you remembered most from that game that was positive.
Yeah,
I was getting set up in the post game room, so I didn't even get to see that. I didn't want to be there anymore. I'm like, why are they even playing a game? Like, the season is over. But, like, it really isn't, though. And so people ask me this, Corey, and I ask you this then. Like, one of my buddies texted me, he's like, can Tate do it? It's like, what does that mean?
What is it? Yeah, define it.
Is it winning the next 2 games? Is it
yes.
is it winning
he can
Saturday?
He can absolutely win the next 2 games, right? I definitely think that.
I don't know, this Florida quarterback's kind of dual thready, which a little bit leery of.
He is, but Mertz was cooking, man. Mertz is a good quarterback, and I feel like in my opinion, you'd rather play a kid making his first start than Mertz, even if he is more athletic. Because you just can. You can put 5-6 guys at the line of scrimmage and try to make him beat you with his arm. But yeah, going back to Jordan, man. So when it happened, I thought he tried to get up initially and then laid back down, and I'm like, okay, well, that happens. And then you see Trey Benson's reaction to it. And that's when it was like, oh, no, this is a horror show. Like, he looked down, and he couldn't look at it. Yeah. And then he walked away, and it was like, he was inconsolable. Like, he couldn't be around it. And it was just, you look, man, it was just awful. It was an awful moment. That's a good way to say it, man. It's one of the worst things we've had to see. Not because, I don't think anyway, that's kind of the point I was trying to make 20 minutes ago. Not because I think they were going to win the national championship. They were far and away the best team in the country, and then this happened. I don't think it's because of what the team goals were crushed. It's for him. Yeah. I'm crushed for him. Just because he had done. I mean, look, the journey is well documented. We've talked about it a lot, and I think that's what hurt so many people. I mean, there were people crying. Stephanie was shook when she heard about it. Like, literally shook. She texted us like, "I'm so sorry, babe." I just told her a family member had passed away, and I don't think, and I'm not making fun of anyone in that, because I think a lot of people felt like that in the moment. That it just felt like. Not just because, oh, there goes the season, because I don't think that's true. And it's already been a great season. But because it's that kid, man, and he had one last home game, and it was an FCS team that they were fiddle effing around with. It should have never come. So there's the
your point too earlier that, like, he ran that ball because he's like, this is not happening on my watch, damn it. We're not losing
exactly
this game.
Right.
And, like,
I'm Jordan Travis. I've done too much. We've done too much. Yeah. We're going to take control of this game right now. And that's where he gets his leg broken or ankle or whatever happened. So that's what was so awful about it, is you just felt awful for him and his teammates. I know he's really close to Trey Benson. That's why Trey had a hard time looking at it. But he's the leader of that team. He's the emotional leader of that team. They all respect him. They all like him. He's just their guy. And to see him, maybe it was also a little more not maybe. It definitely was, because of the nature of the injury. It wasn't an ACL, and it wasn't a broken collarbone. It's the leg going the wrong way, man. It's a Joe Theismann injury. It's seeing that. It's like the kid from Louisville basketball, where like the leg was facing in the wrong. It was a grotesque injury, and it happened to your dude. And that's what made it so awful. Just like it would be for many colleges around the country who have a star quarterback, to see not just him have his season come to an end, but like that. So grotesque, so painful, so hard to watch. Not for CW, though. They'll show you as many replays as you guys want. You want another one? Hey, if you're just tuning in, it's 40. I know it's 42-13. If you're just tuning in, Florida State lost its quarterback. Let's take another look. That was not ideal. I wish they'd have stopped showing that replay. I wish I'd have never seen it, quite honestly. But so going back to, is the season over, though? I was thinking about this comparison. This is not the era. This is not the Jets having to go from Aaron Rodgers to Zach Wilson, where you think you have a chance with a great quarterback to go win the Super Bowl, and now you have the worst starting quarterback in the league and you can't get a first down. Tate Rodemaker can play, man. Now, he's going to make some head-scratching decisions. But he has got a cannon. He is experienced. and he has weapons all over the field. He does not have a running game that he can count on. That's what gives you pause. But there isn't a backup in the country that could come into a situation like this with a Johnny Wilson, a Keon Coleman, a Jaheim Bell, and Trey Benson, and Toa Feely. And now they don't pave a lot of alleys for running backs, but an experienced offensive line, the ones that are still healthy. Again, Maurice Smith went down in that game. Darius Washington snapped the rest of the game. Kudos to Darius Washington, man. We don't talk about that kid enough at all. He just plays everywhere. He plays everywhere, and he is such a safety valve for that offensive line. It's now on the, it's skimming the ends of its depth. But, yeah, so don't you think that should give Florida State fans, as we process what happened, and that not just that he's out for the year, but it was such a grotesque, like leg-shattering injury. As we move on from that, Tate Rodemaker can win these next two games. And I shouldn't even put it like that. Florida State can win these two games with Tate Rodemaker at quarterback. It's not up to him to win or lose the game. If he plays like he can play, like we see him play at practice, and if he has a little bit better pocket presence, which comes with experience, and he makes the throws that we know he can make, and he makes the good, simple throws, and occasionally throws it down to his 50 yards to his two NFL wide receivers, they can win these next two games, Aslan. And if they win these next two games, just take your chances. Probably nobody beating Georgia anyway. But take your chances. Get in the dance. Get in the tournament. And have fun and see what happens. But, it's awful night Saturday night for Jordan Travis, clearly. And for all of us that care about the kid, that have watched the kid, have documented this journey. But it's not a season-ending night for Florida State. They are good enough to win the ACC. They are good enough to finish 12-0 in the regular season, and that should be celebrated.
I want to ask you this in that same vein. What changes, right? Like I know we mentioned earlier that we think Mike Norvell will probably be able to formulate a good game plan to conceal maybe some of the deficiencies that Tate might have and perhaps enhance and showcase some of the things that he's better at. I wonder how much will really change offensively. They're going to run their same formations, right? And Tate doesn't pose maybe the threat that Jordan is, but maybe he hits a throw or two that Jordan doesn't. If that's a way to look at it, or what are you anticipating changing, losing Jordan, considering that maybe what we've seen the last 3-4 weeks out of this offense? Listen, I think everybody thought and was bracing for this offense to be elite going into the season. They saw the way they played that last quarter and a half against LSU, and you were totally verified in any kind of thoughts on that. But this offense to me hasn't particularly looked elite the last 4 or 5 weeks. So maybe there's not this big step back that we're all anticipating happening. What would change?
Yeah, I think more deep shots, to just answer it simply. I think other than that, though, I'll be honest, did it look a lot different?
No,
on Saturday night.
That's what I'm kind of wondering aloud right now at this point.
Yeah, I don't think it changes all that much. They're going to try to do what they do. I think maybe a few more like simple throws just to get him going. And you worry about. I think what you worry about with Tate is decision making. And that doesn't just mean, hey, don't throw it to that guy, he's not open. It's quick decision making. Like, make up your mind and throw it. Jordan Travis, what he was so good at this year, and he was good at a lot of things, was he didn't take sacks. Now, some of that was because he could run around like a maniac.
Or turn the ball over.
Those were, he didn't, he took some sacks. Miami and Pitt, mainly Miami, he took some bad sacks. But that's what made it stood out so much, because they didn't get sacked before that. He didn't turn the ball over. There is a chance those are both going to ramp up a little bit with Tate Rodemaker. And it's not that he can't, he can't make guys miss in space like Jordan Travis can. Like, oh, God, you're about to tackle me. Let me shake you. That's not going to happen with Tate. He can run around defensive ends. He's faster than defensive ends. He can outrun defensive linemen. It's just I don't know that in the pocket he's going to have the wiggle ability. That's a word, Corey. You
Print
did
it.
Yeah, that I know he's not going to have what Jordan had. And Jordan was good about seeing things quickly and just throwing it. But I think if you look at the Tate game, I thought he did, man. The drop that Jaheim had on fourth down, that's a simple, easy, nice throw. The throw he made to Jaheim down the sideline in the first half for the 45 or 50-yard gain or whatever, he saw it quick and got it to him and put touch on it. It's a nice throw, man. I mean, obviously he's wide open. But Tate isn't just a one-pitch wonder. He doesn't just throw fastballs. He's got some touch. I really liked the way he set up the screen to Keziah on the final throw. He sold that pretty well and then zipped it to Keziah so he could catch it and turn around quick. So he's got some stuff to work with, and I don't think it changes all that much. I really don't, because how could it? What are you going to do now? Depend on your running game more? It's not there. So maybe he's more apt to keep it a couple of times and surprise the Florida defense, who will have no idea he can run. But I just think that it's going to be the same offense. And when you look at what Jordan Travis did this year, he finished his year with 175 yards rushing in 11 games. So he was not really a running threat either. He was an escape sack threat that Tate Rodemaker won't be. So maybe you call less slow developing plays and more quick hitters. And then, I don't know, man, twice a quarter just throw it up to 4 or 14. Which, I think that's a nice option to have if you're worried that your quarterback isn't seeing it well. At the end of the day, you could just be like, well, look, they have one man on 4. Just throw it to him. Or they have one guy on 14, throw it to him. So, but otherwise, yeah, I don't see it changing that much. Just like it didn't change that much against Louisville last year. I didn't feel like. They didn't throw it as much. But, it looked like when he was the play calls were still the same play calls even when he came in that Louisville game.
What are the odds that Atkins kind of calls his guys out to the carpet and those guys maybe look in the mirror a little bit more intently and they all just get 5% better this week? I mean, I feel like they're really going to have to take it on their shoulders to protect Tate. And I think they'll embrace that kind of challenge, that kind of duty. Could you see possibly this maligned, if you will, offensive line? This is kind of a line in the sand moment. Finally, they've been getting away with everything. It's been enough, but now it's like you really do have to buckle down and give this kid time, and then create some running lanes so you guys can move the ball and open everything up. Finally, I think Atkins is going to challenge his guys. I think they'll rise up too.
I mean, I hope so, because it's time. They just have not been able to establish any sort of real running game all season, really. And they were so good at it last year. They could run on anyone, and now they seems like they can't. They can run on no one.
Where's Bless Harris in all this?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Because I know Robert Scott's out. Him and Robert Scott were battling for that left tackle spot. Neither of them are playing. So, and I know we can't talk about injuries. I haven't seen anything from Bless that's shown that he's injured. Maybe he's working on something internally here that we're not seeing. But it's crazy to me that they've been having these struggles, and they're two left tackles that they were battling to the wire to figure out who's going to be the starter. Like, none of them are involved right now. That hurts. That sucks.
Yeah, and look, we talked all season about how experienced this offensive line is, and it is. But, Robert Scott kind of hasn't played all year, right? He's not really been a factor at all.
I think Syracuse might have been the last game he played, and barely.
Maurice Smith came out of that game and didn't play in the second half. Now, you never know, is it, they take him out because, I mean, obviously he's been banged up. We've noticed that. We saw that against Miami. He's banged up. But maybe he can play. They just didn't want to play him anymore against North Alabama. So, I mean, you hope Maurice Smith is there. But, maybe he's so banged up that it is a better line when Darius Washington's at center. Now he's got to snap that ball back a little quicker. It's a slow-paced snap, but yeah, I thought he did a really good job there. I thought Darius did. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do at tackle. Clearly we thought this was going to be a strength of the team. 8 experienced dudes, all rotating, staying fresh, and then football happened. They've been banged up. They've been hurt. Your starting left tackle has barely been a factor this year because it's football. And then now you've lost your quarterback. So you hope the guys that are there, that there's a bit of ability there that, I hope they do You rise up. I hope the defense does too. I thought the defense did do that on Saturday. Again, it's hard to judge because it's North Alabama. And when they weren't doing trickeration with the 2 linemen on each side of the field or 3 linemen on each side of the field, they and are faking a punt. They struggled to move the ball at all. But I did think the Florida State defense flew around, and that after Jordan Travis got hurt. And I think that was really good to see. I did think they responded well. They're going to have to play well the rest of the way because I don't know that you can count on this offense even against Florida, who has a horrible defense, or a bad defense anyway. I don't know if they're horrible. I don't think you can count on this offense to just keep racking up 35 points a game.
40 now, 7th in the country in scoring offense.
Well, there you go. Yeah, North Alabama made some got the stats back up, going in the right direction. But I think the defense has played so well for the season, and it's just going to have to carry more of the load now. And so is special teams, because you don't have. At the end of the day, Aslan, if let's say it was the same, if Jordan Travis was healthy going into this game and Mertz was out, there's no chance you're and I know it's dumb, and I know it goes against what I said last week about no easy games in the swamp. You can't ever assume a win in the swamp. If Jordan Travis was going down there to play that quarterback,
the way they lost to the way that they just lost in Missouri.
There's no way Florida State loses. I could be wrong, but Jordan Travis filled you with that hope. Like, he's not losing this game. No. Jordan Travis is not going to lose this game. And then the next week, Louisville's got some real players, man, and I think they're good on the line of scrimmage. But I would be hard. I couldn't fathom Jordan Travis losing to that quarterback.
Yeah, and making less plays than Jack.
You know what I mean? That quarterback is just kind of an average Joe. And you've got Jordan Travis, and you're not losing. He's not losing that game. No. He's not losing to a quarterback that's not special, or a team that doesn't have just special dudes all over the field. You can't say that about the situation now. And so that's kind of what you lose, right? You felt like with Jordan, he wasn't going to let you lose. And look, man, for 16 straight games, he didn't. But Tate can prove that too, man. Go show him, Tate. Go show the world, dog. You're Tate Rodemaker. You won games at Valdosta. You've gone into Cardinal Papa John. Well, it's not that anymore. Whatever. Woke Stadium in Louisville. No free speech in Louisville Stadium, whatever they call it now. You showed the world what you could do, and you showed the people in Florence, Alabama, what you could do on Saturday night. And also, one last thing, Aslan, I know we've talked a lot about it, but it's a vital point as we end this season, whether it's 3 games from now or 5 games from now. I kind of feel like this is an audition for number 18, man. You know what I mean? And this will tell. And look, I don't think many people expect Florida State to go into the portal for a quarterback. They have Brock Glenn, who I thought played well after his that last drive. I thought the throw of Andrevius was great. He's got some stuff there.
What about A.J. Duffy?
Well, no. But Brock Glenn played well. A.J. didn't even play, did he?
No.
Okay. So you've got Brock Glenn and Tate Rodemaker coming back, and you've got Croman Huck joining the roster. So there is a pretty good chance that your starting quarterback is on the roster right now. But not to put any more pressure on Tate, if he doesn't look the part at all in these next 3 games, especially the next 2, well, you might have some decisions to make when the portal opens up. Because if you don't trust him to be your starting quarterback in Ireland, do you trust Brock Glenn or Croman Huck to go beat Georgia Tech in Ireland and then, and lead that team, which is going to have, a lot of new faces? Because Florida State, I think, has become a destination. I don't think. It has become a destination spot. And it could go get a very experienced and pretty talented quarterback out there. I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm not saying I expect that to happen. And if Tate goes and plays well these next 2 weeks, I can promise you it won't happen. But that's kind of another avenue of this, which, again, when we talk about the silver lining show of the post-Jordan Travis injury, is you do now have the ability to figure out your quarterback situation once and for all going into 2024. You do. If Tate falls on his face, which, again, I don't expect him to. I've just been singing his praises for the last 40 minutes. Then you will have a decision to make. Are you going to be willing to give it to Brock Glenn or Cromanhawk? Or what if there's a really talented senior transfer that you can go get that is interested in coming and playing for Florida State? Well, it's something you'd have to think about. But on the flip side, if Rodemaker plays well like I expect him to, well, then I feel like you feel pretty darn good going into 2024, and you've given him some valuable game experience heading into his 5th year in the program.
Another wrinkle I want to get to, but let's get over to mybookie.ag, where you use the promo code WARCHANT and you get an exclusive 110% cash deposit bonus. I'm being told this is so exclusive, it's not being advertised. So now you know. MyBookie.ag, promo code WARCHANT, instant cash deposit bonus. Florida State, last time we talked and hung out, everybody, was plus 950 to win it all.
Yep.
They are now plus 3,000.
Oh, boy. Tate, put that on your wall, man.
Yeah, man.
They don't believe in you, dog.
Come on, Tate. Corey and I went 1-1 last week in our picks. 1 win, 1 loss.
The
Corey,
Hokies let me down in a big way.
Corey might not be Mr. ACC after all.
Nope.
But he did crush the Washington-Oregon State game. So good job.
I don't know that I crushed it. I won it by like a point, right?
I know, but like that was a trap game. That bad weather. Washington had every reason to probably finally fold and lose, and they didn't. So
yeah.
I thought, when they give that low of a point spread, you're like, man, just take the home team. Home team lost. Florida covered against Missouri, unfortunately, but they lost, so still a win. That was a good one. We hedged ourselves psychologically on that one, everybody. Yeah. And then, Maryland, 19 points at home against Michigan. We thought that was a pretty smart bet.
You crushed that one.
Yeah, there we go, everybody. So no sweat on that one. 2 more weeks of this. I'm 7 wins, 7 losses. Corey, not as good as that.
Right.
So we won't say it out loud, but Corey can make it up. Maybe we'll go to 3 games these next 2 weeks so Corey can surge to the top. But you know what? No one will remember this in a week. No one might even remember this in 5 minutes. But go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WARCHANT for your instant cash deposit bonus. Mybookie.ag, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Corey, I don't know if this is the last thing on the way out, probably last thing on the way out. I don't know if it's fair or not to say that these 2 games are auditions for Tate Rodemaker. I mean, 2 really tough games. But I guess, this is what your kind of the standard is now at Florida State, right? You hope to be in these situations moving forward. You're competing for championships, whether it's conference or national title. But we do get this kind of sneak peek if Tate can be that guy. Are we also fairly, unfairly, accurately, inaccurately maybe going to get a glimpse of the Norvell, Jordan Travis dynamic, which I thought you wrote so well about in your column that, listen, first and foremost, this program has been turned around because of Mike Norvell. He's the one that gets the lion's share of the credit, and deservedly so. But they're not where they're at right now this quickly without Jordan Travis.
Right.
So will we kind of maybe also see chicken egg, who made who to a certain degree, maybe if Tate, doesn't get this thing going, or if Tate is able to keep it going, will that portend anything to the Jordan Norvell, who's responsible for bringing this thing back so fast, so nice?
I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I don't disagree with that. I think that when you're pressed into playing your backup quarterback, even though he's been here for 4 years, I don't know that you could judge and say, well, if he doesn't have Jordan Travis, he can't win. It's tough in Game 12 to switch quarterbacks, especially because you're losing one of the best in the country. But that doesn't mean that so what I'm saying is, everybody's better with a great quarterback. Clearly, every offense works better with a great quarterback. If Tate isn't the guy and the offense takes a step back, which I think none of us would be surprised if it did. I mean, he's a starter for a reason. Tate might be good. He's not Jordan Travis. So the offense will almost certainly take a step back. That doesn't mean that Norvell can't develop another great quarterback. It just might not be Tate. It might be Cromanhawk. It might be the guy coming in after him. It might be a portal kid. Who knows? I don't think it means that because when you take a step back at quarterback, obviously the offense is going to not be great. And it's like saying, Phil Jackson wasn't a great coach when he didn't have Michael Jordan or Kobe. It's like, well, yeah, it's true, but everybody's like that. And he did accentuate the positives of those two teams. I shouldn't compare Jordan Travis to Michael Jordan. That was dumb. But you know what I mean? Like Phil Jackson got grief. Or Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was awesome when he had Tom Brady. When he didn't have Tom Brady, and he went from Tom Brady to Mac Jones?
Mac Jones, Bailey Zapp, Cam Newton.
He's not as good. Weird. So, but I don't think that means that Bill Belichick is not a good football coach. You know what I mean? Like that. So, and I don't think we judge him. Well, maybe people do now. Like they think he was a Brady.
He's a fraud. He's a
fraud. He's made by Brady. I just think it's probably not fair, but I think what's cool about the next 6 weeks, right? Whether they win the ACC or whether they go to a bowl game near New Year's, it's still the next 6 weeks. Tate Rodemaker is the Florida State starting quarterback. And now you will know how Tate Rodemaker handles the responsibility. I make him sound like he's Spider-Man. The responsibility of being the Florida State quarterback and what that all entails. And you get to see how he handles that. You know what I mean? Like you get to see how he handles the weight of that. The game planning, the preparation. I thought it was cool that Norvell said that he did prepare all week like he was going to play. Now, that might have had a lot to do with he was going to play because it was North Alabama. I'm sure he thought he was going to be coming in the first half anyway, just not down by 2 scores when he prepared all week. But, he talked about the way he prepares and that everybody likes him as a teammate. He's a good teammate. He does prepare like he's the starter. Well, that's good to see. Now he is the starter. There's a whole different mindset that comes with that. It's something Jordan had to learn. It's something that Mackenzie Milton really helped him with, quite honestly. One of the, I was going to take a shot. I'm not trying to take a shot, but one of the few positives Mackenzie Milton gave this program because he just wasn't able physically to be a great football player anymore. He showed Jordan Travis what it was like to be a starting quarterback. Just the mindset you have to have, and the leader you have to be, and the way you have to conduct yourself. And I think, hopefully, Tate Rodemaker's learned that from Jordan Travis, but Mike Norvell and his staff will clearly find all of that out in the next 6 weeks, won't they? They'll find out everything they need to know about Tate Rodemaker as a starting quarterback in the next 6 weeks. Not just the play on the field, but what he does Sunday to Friday too, and how if he becomes a lead. It was cool in that it was a screen pass or one of the touchdowns. It was the first touchdown of the second half, whatever that one was. I can't remember. They all run together. When they scored to go up 31-13, Tate Rodemaker had a legitimate Tiger Woods fist pump. Yeah, he was really fired up and really excited, and that because it was like he was taking ownership of the game. Even in Louisville last year, I'm sure he was excited, but it seemed like more of an all shucks, what's going on here? Let's go try to win this game. And he was kind of thrown into the fire and didn't have this one. It was like you could tell how much it meant to him to go get that next score, and he was really fired up about it. And it's his offense now. He's going to take ownership of it, and we'll see what happens. I know I didn't answer your question.
That's a tough one. It was a tough one.
It was a tough one. I think Norvell has proven that he can be a very good coach and put up a ton of points because he did it with 2 different quarterbacks at Memphis that weren't named Jordan Travis. So I don't think he's a Jordan Travis wonder. Like some could argue, Jimbo might have been with a certain quarterback. By the way, really cool of Jameis to wear Jordan's jersey. And I didn't see the interview, but according to Twitter and everybody I talked to, when they talked to him about getting his jersey retired after the ceremony, the CW on the sideline, he spent his entire time talking about Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
And I just think it says a lot about both of them, actually. It says a lot about Jameis, that he would spend that whole time not talking about himself and what he did, but Jordan Travis. And it also speaks a lot about how important Jordan Travis has been to this program and how beloved he is by just about everyone.
Yeah, I think Jameis was shown down on a knee praying too. I think him and Antonor were both pretty emotional when they saw it happening. So maybe touch on that real quick. I want to ask you this too, though, Corey.
Okay.
If Florida State wins these next 2 games and doesn't make the playoff, will you be more pissed or less pissed than you would have been if the same situation played out and they had Jordan Travis?
Almost more pissed, because the reasoning is what would anger me. You have to be rewarded for what you've done on the field, not for what you're projected to do in 4 weeks. You can't just say, oh, they've got a backup quarter. We know they just beat a top 10 Louisville team, an 11-win Louisville team perhaps, if Louisville can take care of business this week against Kentucky. But we know Florida State just beat our number 9 team in our rankings, our number 8, or whatever Louisville is when they play, if Louisville can win next week. But we don't think they could beat the number 3 team with that same quarterback. So let's let a team that lost the game jump them. Even though they're 3-0 with this kid, let's just assume they can't compete. And let's set what we think is the best matchup, not what's the most deserving matchup. And I think that's been the mistake of the committee this entire time, is the wording is the 4 best teams. And the wording should have always been the 4 most deserving teams. Because who are you to say who's the best? What if Tate Rodemaker is, South Georgian Patrick Mahomes, and he's about to be unleashed, but you don't give him that. You don't give him that chance. I just think that's a dumb way to set it. It's just a dumb way to set your field. Like, we were going to make North Carolina the number 1 overall seed in this basketball tournament, but they just lost Hansborough, so now they're the 8. It's what you've done. You know what I mean? Now they got to play an 8-9 game because they lost. Remember when Hansborough got punched in the face in that game against Duke?
Yeah.
I can't remember who did it. No, it wasn't Chris Carroll. It was Gerald Henderson, I think, did it. Punched him in the face, bloodied his nose. He had to go play with a mask on. He wasn't the same player. What if the committee then had been like, look, North Carolina's awesome. They're 30-3. They're the ACC champs, but their best player now has a broken nose and is going to be 50% as effective as he was. So they should be the number 1 seed. But because Hansborough can't play to his level that he's been playing, they're a 6. And they're going to Albuquerque to play Oklahoma in the 6-11 game. It's a dumb way to officiate and administer your sport and your championship. So that's why that's why it would bother me even more if the reasoning would be, oh, yeah, they're on a backup quarterback. Well, man, Ohio State was on a 3rd-string quarterback and put up 50 on Alabama. I mean, don't judge. Don't just say a team can't win, because this isn't just a Jordan Travis product. It's a good team. That's just a dumb way. It's just such a dumb rationale.
I hope that chime didn't go off. I think I figured out how to turn off the chime.
I don't ever hear it, but
Okay.
apparently other people do.
By the way, shout out to Andy over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Saw him, mistakenly called him Matt, but now I know you're Andy. But we met a Matthew from Titusville. Says he listened to every show. Hopefully he listened all the way to the end. Appreciate it. Corey, I think I might have made a grave mistake here in the over-under contest. So one of the props was Florida State defensive yards allowed.
Okay.
North Alabama had 226 total yards.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, how many of those yards came on that fake punt?
64.
So that really wasn't the defense per se.
But did you word it defense?
Yes.
How did you word it? Just North Alabama total yards?
No, Florida State defensive yards allowed.
That's exactly how it's worded.
Yes.
Then, yes, I think you take away the 64 yards.
Well,
I think that's fair. I don't think people can argue with that.
Well, I made a grave mistake. I already issued out the gift. Because somebody just pointed that out to me.
Oh.
And I was like, oops.
Never mind. You did. I didn't know you'd already done that.
Yeah.
No, Aslan, you just got to go with total yardage.
Yeah.
You got to go with total yardage. Don't let that get to you.
So shout out to DSM Knoll, winner of $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold. You got to be a member of warchant.com. It's one of the great perks you get. You can play in the over-under contest, win that. You also get discounts at Garnet and Gold throughout the year. I think it's back this week. Maybe, I think a promo code like on blankets. It's cold, everybody. It's cold out there. This month, subscribers can save 20% off blankets from Garnet and Gold this Tuesday, November 21st. Warchant members, you save 10% off every day, every purchase at Garnet and Gold. Over-unders, by the way, Tate, 108 yards passing.
He went over.
He did. Combined catches for Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. Corey said it's 6.5.
What was it?
6. 3 each.
Okay.
My man. A senior day ovation for Jordan Travis, 21.5 seconds. We hit the under.
Yeah. It was 19. It was like 19 and a half seconds is what I had it timed as.
Yeah. Florida State's offensive yards, 575. under. Went 521. The Florida State defensive yards allowed. Some might argue this one, 177.5. I said over. That is the official word and the final line on that. I will now change it to just whoever the team they're playing total yards. That gets me out of it, right, Corey?
Yep.
Who needs Lawyer Joe? And then margin of victory, 52.5 points. I guess it actually did go off with an official line. I think it was 47.5.
I never saw it. I never saw that line. So what was the final? It was 58. So it was 45 was the final spread?
Yeah. So,
by the way, I do want to talk about that. Look, I've been going to games with Ira Schofel, the great Ira Schofel from Warchant. I've been in a press box with him literally since 2007. And before that, we worked in Thomasville and we worked in Thomasville together for a little bit. So I've been covering games with him for the better part of 20 years. And I've seen all kinds of things. I've seen a Kelvin Benjamin catch. I've seen Jacksonville State, and I've seen everything in between. And he has never cheered in the press box ever, not once. Never even really made a sound other than saying "Oh boy." He's never. He
says "Oh boy" a lot. I love it.
He does say "Oh boy" a lot. It's like me with quite frankly. He cheered loudly when Quindarius Jones ran that kick back for the touchdown at the final play of the game. He was fired up because look, we're all trying to get out of the stadium, gang. It's 52-13. And this coach for Northern Alabama, who'd kind of been showing his butt all night, I thought, yelling at his coordinators, yelling at the refs, yelling at it, he was kind of just odd. He called 2 timeouts on that final drive. He called a timeout with, 5 seconds left? It was 5 seconds left. They complete a pass down to, the 15, call a timeout. And I'm like, and Ira's like, what is this guy doing? F this guy. And I'm like, well, I get it. He's going to try to get one last touchdown for this offense. I get that. You're playing against the backups, the third stringers. See if you can make one of your receivers feel better or your quarterback feel better. Get him a touchdown and dope. That's a cool memory. And instead, he trots out the field goal team in a 52-13 game, which is the most asinine. It would almost be enough if I was the AD to make him be in my office on Sunday morning to explain that. Just the rationale, like what does the kicker need confidence? Is that the only thing you're doing it for?
You guys, the last play of the game is a positive play for your team. Like, you guys got points, the game's over. It's like,
but
all
it's
right.
I guess, but wouldn't it? I mean, is it really you kicked a field goal in a 39-point game? That seems like a negative. Like, God, what are you doing, Coach? Why are we doing this? If the reasoning is the kicker had an extra point blocked, he wanted him to feel good about it, I guess. But it gets swatted back in his face, and Florida State scores a walk-off touchdown, and Quindarius Jones gets mobbed while it looked like there was a pretty terse handshake exchange with Norvell and that coach. Like, there wasn't a lot of pleasantries explained.
That's what I've heard. I didn't see it
expressed there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would assume it's because of the way the game ended and him calling a timeout with 5 seconds left when Norvell's trying to get onto Florida. Like, hey, man, take your check and get out of here. You already wrecked our quarterback's career with that stupid tackle at midfield. Just take your check and leave. And instead, he's calling a timeout. So maybe that's what Norvell was mad about, or maybe he was mad about the way way Jordan got tackled. But I thought that was interesting that they didn't seem to be a very amicable handshake like Norvell's are with most people.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those like handshake, grab the elbow, like, hey, great game, man. Thanks for
Or like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about your quarterback, coach.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I feel awful. Please go win these. Whatever it would say, it was like there was some looked like some real animosity there. Maybe we got a rivalry brewing between Florida State and North Alabama. Maybe we got a rivalry brewing, buddy.
Yeah. Anything else to talk about from that game? C.J. Campbell, Sam Singleton, fast.
They are fast. Really cool to see C.J. get a run like that. And I'll say this, man. I'd like to see some more Keziah Holmes in my life.
Okay.
I like Keziah Holmes. I like the way he runs. He's certainly fresh. I'd like to see him in Gainesville get more than one touch, if he gets a touch at all. I don't quite understand. And again, I was going to say I'm not at practice every day, but I am. I don't quite understand why Rodney Hill seems to be so far ahead of Keziah Holmes. I love the way Keziah Holmes runs, man. He's big. He's physical. He always falls forward. He's fast. I like that guy. I think he's got something to work with, and I think he should get more touches, quite frankly. Defense was fine, better than fine. They were good. There was nothing really to nothing. Oh, I did want to say this. Shout out to the women's soccer team.
And the basketball team. Women's.
Soccer team. Women's. Yeah, the men. Yikes. That was gross, folks. The women's soccer team not only beat Texas A&M on Friday 1-0.
1-0.
1-0. I apologize, guys. They beat them. They got one goal on the pitch, and
nice.
the Aggies didn't get a goal They didn't get a ball into the net on the pitch. And then on Sunday night, in the quarterfinals, destroyed Texas. The Lone Star State got obliterated in Tallahassee over the weekend. Florida State won 5-0.
5-0.
5-0. Well, I can say 0, right? I just can't say nothing. But also, do you want me to say Florida State are one win away from the College Cup? Because that's how all the soccer nerds talk. Florida State are coming off a great win. No, so they are one win away from the College Cup, which is the college soccer Final Four. They play again on Friday. I don't know against who, but the Elite Eight game is the day after Thanksgiving, and it will be at the Seminole Soccer Complex. So congratulations to that team because they're awesome, and Texas can certainly attest to that because they got boat raced 5-0. Come on, man! I didn't know that happened in college soccer in the third round. Yeah,
that's crazy. Penske got them playing. They're peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
Peaking at the right time. All right, that's a wrap for us, Corey. Was there any other things? Anybody you see or hang out with or meet? You want to? Or is Brady doing any better?
Look,
Brady,
Kansas. I know you're listening. I love you. I'm horrible with names. I want to say Joshua, but that's probably wrong. Fort Worth, Dallas. Love you guys. It was fun hanging out with you. Everybody else, I think there was a Jerry that I met on Sunday that came from Ohio. Man, everybody, again, I say this every time, but it's really nice meeting people and all the kind words they say about the show and listening to us and how we're their connection to Florida State and we get them through their morning commute or their workout or whatever it is. It always means a lot. Not enough for me to remember your name clearly.
Oh, Octavio,
yep.
Yeah, shout out Octavio.
But it's really, really nice to meet everyone and spend some time with you guys telling us how awesome we are.
All right, we're not going to turn the page. We're probably going to keep talking about not having your starting quarterback for a few more shows, but such is life. You're 11-0, though.
11-0, man, 17 straight. This is awesome. It's got to end sometime, but hopefully it might not end on Tate Rodemaker's watch. Tate Rodemaker, guys, might be the Heisman frontrunner going into 2024. Yeah. We have no idea how the next 4 games are going to turn out.
Maybe Tate leaves. Maybe it goes to the NFL draft.
That's the worry I have, Aslan. He's going to be so good in these next 4 games that you're only going to get him for 4 games. Wasn't that what happened with Cardale Jones?
That's exactly what happened to Cardale Jones.
Yeah, so, hey, that's something. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Tate, prove all the haters wrong. I hope he understands that Florida State went from 9-1 favorites to win the national championship to 30-1. Come on, Tate. Take that as a slight and go win some games.
Would Norvell would he leave the museum or would he accost me if I asked him, Mike, any concerns that, this could be it for Tate, 4 dubs and he's out?
I mean, I would laugh and hopefully he would take it. But yes, let's not do that. I think the emotions are still a little raw. I'm not going to,
Ira, it's okay. I'm not going to do it, Ira, I promise.
Emotions, I think, are still a little raw over there in that building right now.
Yeah. All right, let's go talk to the coaches. 11:30 a.m. press conference. Mike Norvell, coordinators. We'll have that up over on warchant.com. Corey will diligently live transcribe that. We'll have videos of all of it, takeaways. And then the Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock, talking about things as well, updates, things of that nature. Maybe we'll talk some recruiting later on this week. It is the Florida game. No live show this week. Thanksgiving. It's all about family. You already know, everybody. We got to prioritize things. All right, I'm done talking. That's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.